Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside Podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hey, hello there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside Podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and man, Ringside crew, I'm so honored to have another awesome Australian wrestler. Introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
Hello, internationally known audience. My name is Gavin McGavin. I am the history maker, the record breaker, the title taker, all the way from Perth in Western Australia.
Wow, awesome. So let's go way back in your career.
Sure.
Who trained you?
A collection of people, I guess. So the school that trained me is known as Explosive Professional Wrestling, which is a school that was formed here in Perth, WA in 2002. So they've been running for 23 years now. After basically two backyarding groups decided, hey, there is no professional wrestling in Western Australia. In the entire state, there is no professional wrestling. And we want a place where we can learn to wrestle, but we also want future generations to be able to wrestle. So they got together and they put on their first ever show and they called it Awakening. And by their own admission, it was dreadful because they had no training and they could only get their hands on a boxing ring instead of a wrestling ring. And then it went well. So they did another show and then they did another show. And then they thought, well, hang on, we should actually probably learn how to do this properly. So they visited a few other schools around the country, a few schools overseas as well. And then they formed their own training school, which was originally called the Dynamite Factory here in Perth, WA. So I was trained there and I was lucky enough to be trained by people like David Storm, who was a legend of Australian wrestling who just retired last month. We're December, so October, just at the end of October. Retired in front of 1,000 people at Willerton Stadium. That happened on the weekend when WWE came to Perth. So WWE ran a show on Friday, they ran one on Saturday. Then we ran our big show on Sunday because it was like a mini WrestleMania weekend. Everyone in Australian wrestling happened to be in town. So it was the perfect time for Dave to say goodbye to everyone. I also had Shane Haste, part of TMDK. He was one of my trainers as well. FN Carnage, who's now known as Tyler Jacobs. He helped train me. He only just retired. He was one of those original guys who formed the company back in 2001. He only just retired at the end of last year. Devlin Reeves, who's still involved in the company, he trained me. Countless others. It was sort of the school was very much it takes a village to raise a child and it takes a village to raise a wrestler. Since then, I've traveled and tried to train as many places as I can, but that was the original sort of core group that trained me, namely David Storm being the head trainer with Devlin Reeves and Tyler Jacobs.
Oh, wow. Awesome. So you said you guys started out in a boxing ring and then did you eventually move to a wrestling ring? Because
I didn't join EPW until 2008. I started training. But yeah, I believe that's all they could get their hands on to begin with. Was a boxing ring because there was almost no professional wrestling in the entire country. So it wasn't like there was just a spare wrestling ring lying around. And they're not cheap. And even worse than not being cheap, if you pay, I think at the moment, even if you pay about $10,000 Australian for a ring, you pay about the same amount to get it shipped here from America as well, because no one makes them in Australia. So you pay just about the same amount to put it on a shipping container and bring it here as it does to buy the ring itself. And because it's being imported, it doesn't come with any ring boards because they're made of wood, so you can't import wood. So you've got to then locate your own ring boards and you've got to locate your own padding and all those sorts of things. And even the ropes, you basically just get the steel parts.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an ordeal, and it is a big cash outlay for what was at that time a bunch of sort of 17 to 21-year-olds who were just sort of, let's put on one show and see what happens.
Yeah, like let's go a little bit further in your career. When you finally got the green light to do a match, what was going through your head? How did you get yourself to center and get yourself to go into that mold of I'm wrestling? Like, and what was the first match you ever did?
It was I think I was so busy trying to get all my gear because it was such a surprise that I didn't give myself time to get nervous until pretty much the day before. So I'd been training for 9 months and I had this completely different gimmick in my mind. I was planning on being, I wanted to, my idea was to be this wrestler called Fracture, because just through different sports that I've played throughout my life, I've broken a whole bunch of bones. So I was going to wear basically black, and anywhere I'd broken a bone, so my elbow, I'd put a big red X on there, and I'd put a red X across here because I've broken my nose 4 times. And my whole thing was I was going to be this submission guy who broke people's bones, and that was my plan, really.
Oh, geez.
I had this backstory and moves and that sort of thing. And then a couple of the guys that were ahead of me, they've been wrestling for a few years, Dan Moore and Alex Kingston. They had been playing, of all things, the TNA video game, and they made a creator wrestler, and they'd just been watching Happy Gilmore. So they made a creator wrestler called Shooter McGavin, and they thought, oh, that's a pretty funny gimmick. We should saddle one of the rookies with that gimmick. That'd be pretty funny. That's a pretty good rip. So they came to training, and we were doing just a bit of shoot fighting, just a bit of amateur style wrestling for a warm up. And I managed to take the back of the first guy, and then I managed to tap the next guy and that sort of thing. So one of them nudged the other one in the rib and said, oh, check out Shooter McGavin over here. And I thought, oh, that's strange. And then I got called it a few more times. A few weeks go by, and apparently some of the bookers and some other people are standing around and sort of going, we can't just call him Shoot Fighter McGavin. He needs a first name. And then one of our other wrestlers, Richter, goes, Gavin, the Shoot Fighter McGavin? And they all thought it was hilarious and burst into tears. So fast forward about another month, and Jamie Dura is meant to be wrestling Barry Schmidt. Barry Schmidt has booked a holiday to Bali and is not available. Jamie Dura was down at training, and he saw me running some drills and said, that guy, I want to wrestle that guy at the show instead. So the booker calls me and says, hey, you're on the show next weekend. You're wrestling Jamie Dura. And I said, well, as who? I don't have any of my fracture gear. He said, you're Gavin McGavin. You're Gavin the Shoot Fighter McGavin.
Oh, God.
I was like, oh, I guess I better figure out who this guy is. And then, so in the space of a week, I went, okay, shoot fighting, what's similar to that? Amateur wrestling. I don't have any time to get any custom gear made. What can I wear that as soon as people look at me, they know what my gimmick is? Oh, I'll go get some amateur headgear. So I literally went and got some amateur headgear. So I ordered some because, again, that's not a very big sport in Western Australia either. So I ordered something and it arrived just in time. And then I think
batting 1,000.
Yeah, I ordered that. I had a pair of long socks, some knee pad sleeves, and a pair of Asics boots and some wrist tape and a pair of black bike shorts. And that was my gear. So on about a week and a half's notice, I stepped into EPW Aftershock on February 23rd, 2009, and wrestled Jamie Dura one-on-one. And I'm very, very grateful to him because he handpicked me for that match. It's an opportunity I shouldn't have gotten. I didn't know I was ready, but apparently I was. And not only that, based on Jamie Dura and how long he'd been around and everything he'd accomplished, it should have been about a 2-minute match. He should have just boom, 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 and I'm done, and that's it. I've had my taste. But we went back and forth for about 10 minutes, and he made me look far better than I had any right to look. And I think I did enough to impress some people. So then I kind of started getting regularly booked from there. I think I missed the next show, and then I was on the next one, and then maybe I missed the next 2. And then after that, I kind of had about 13-year period where I was on pretty much every single EPW event. So I'm very, very grateful to Jamie for giving me that start.
Wow. Like, everybody always has like their spotlight moment. What has been your biggest moment within your career so far?
Ooh, My biggest moment. I feel like there's a couple. I think one would be so in 2016 we introduced a new mid-card title into the company called the EPW Coastal title. And the reason for that is that when the company first started here in 2001, it was actually called ECW, Explosive Coastal Wrestling, because the ECW from America had gone bankrupt, and they thought it's never going to be anything big, it's just a cute little name and it'll get people's attention. And then they transitioned into EPW later on when they thought that they can't, be using a famous acronym. So after 15 years of the company existing, they brought in the Coastal Championship to kind of be a mid-card, but also throwback to the heritage roots. And I was lucky enough to be the first person to win and hold that title. And then over the course of the next 6 months, myself and a wrestler who I absolutely adore, both as a person and in ring, one of my greatest rivals, we had this trilogy of matches which culminated in a cage match. And the end of the match, so I was the heel and he was the babyface coming after me, and I'd constantly managed to duck him and avoid him and those sorts of things. And then we had our first match, which was just a standard match. And at the end of the match, he locks me in his finisher, the sharpshooter. The ref's right in my face. Hey, do you give up? Do you give up? Do you give up? And I slap the ref in the face, and the ref DQs me. He hears the sound of me slapping the ref and thinks that I've tapped. Yay, I won the title. No, you won, but you don't get the title. Okay, so the next match, we have a no DQ. The no DQ goes back and forth, and I dastardly kick him in the balls, and he has me in the sharpshooter, and I grab a cane off an old man in the crowd, and I crack him in the back of the head and bust him open, and I managed to escape the title. Finally, they put us in a steel cage. The thing about the second match was that we were scheduled for the mid-card title. We were going to be in the middle of the card somewhere, and then one of the guys who was meant to be in the main event, at all things, he was at a hardcore gig, a band, and he busted his head open in the crowd from doing a stage dive or something like that. No. So he was out. He couldn't wrestle. The main event was now off. So myself and Scotty sort of went, well, we crushed it last month. Surely they'll put us in the main event. We're the only title match on the show. But instead, they took the two guys that were meant to be the opener, who were more experienced, and they put them in the main event. And that kind of put a chip on both our shoulders. We thought, hey, we've been crushing this for a while. Those guys have had plenty of main events. We actually have a big storyline going on, and we have the title. We should be the main event. We're going to go out there and wrestle like a main event. We didn't steal anything from anyone else, and we didn't go over our time, but we just went out there with a chip on our shoulder, and we absolutely crushed it. And I remember we walked back through the curtain, and I'd taken about 2 steps through the curtain, and the booker looked at me and said, yeah, we fucked up. You guys should have been the main event. So 2 months later, we were. We had a cage match. They put us in it. And so this was my first ever singles main event, his first ever singles main event. Not only that, it's for a title. It's in a cage.
Oh, God.
And the match just, it couldn't have come off any better. And he finally gets me dead center in the middle of the cage, puts me in that sharpshooter, and I tap out. And I've never heard a crowd sort of explode like that. And it was a really good realization, because a lot of people are sort of like, well, why is that a highlight for you? That's his moment. And it was that really strong realization of those cheers that you hear for the babyface that you're working, they're yours too, because that doesn't happen without the work you do to get him that. So that was a really, really big moment where I kind of, myself and Scotty said, hey, we're here. We can be main eventers too. When you put your faith in us, we will give you back what you deserve. So that was amazing. That was a really, really cool moment. And then about a year later, funnily enough, I get put in another cage match, and I end up claiming the only championship I hadn't yet held in EPW, and I managed to become the first ever Grand Slam champion. And it was, I think, later that year as well, we had we had both fan voted and insider voted awards for Wrestler of the Year and those sorts of things, and I managed to pick up Wrestler of the Year. And it was a really crazy experience for me, because as a kid, I've got a bunch of trophies in a box there from when I was a kid from different sports, but they're all participation or or most improved or something like that. Like there was no sport that I was ever a natural at. I was never this amazing athlete. You know, I'm 5'9" and 150 pounds now. I mean, I was less than 110 pounds when I graduated high school. Like I was small little guy, not very athletic, not a natural athlete by any stretch of the imagination. But when I managed to accomplish these things, like that first match that I got, I thought that was going to be my pinnacle. I might get one wrestling match. And I managed to do that. And the fact that I've now managed to achieve some things in this amazing company that's been around for nearly 25 years that no one else has, those were probably the two biggest moments. But I like to hope and think that whatever the biggest moment of my career is still to come.
Yeah, like it's still to come. There's so much more things you could do. I saw on your Instagram, I'm outly say this, I'm 42 years old. And I say you're 41 at the video.
41, yeah.
Wait, what's that?
Yeah, 41, yeah.
Yes, I'm 42. And like that is amazing to see like someone in almost in the same age gap. I sound like I aged you, but like almost in the same age gap. You've done so much in your young career, like your career in wrestling. Like, are there any like wrestlers that you have not like wrestled yet that are in the Australian wrestling scene that you have on your bingo card for 2026?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I call it a bingo card because I love saying the word bingo card instead of the list.
Yeah, bingo card. I'm big on bingo card. There are a few here at close to home. So in our own promotion, there's some new young guys that have come through. One guy that I think is going to make a lot of noise very, very soon across the country is Elijah Henry. He's if you like Japanese wrestling, if you like that style of wrestling, you're going to enjoy him. He's phenomenal wrestler for how long he's been doing it. I think be able to make some pretty good magic with him. Across Australia, I've always been a massive fan of Jessica Troy, who was the PWA champion over in New South Wales for a long time. She's phenomenal.
One name I've never heard of, and I think I may ask her next year to come on the pod. I never heard of her.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely fantastic. There's guys, a wonderful guy by the name of Grim over in RCW in Adelaide. I'm a huge big fan of him. He's you may have heard him be shout out a few times. He and his brother are the two guys that ran the school and trained Rhea Ripley. So yeah, he's fantastic. He creates fantastic wrestlers. So I love trust him, and he's a giant as well. So he's like,
he would be like this on the podcast. Yes,
sorry.
I said. And he'll be like, "What'd you say?"
Yeah, he's like 6'7" or 6'8" or something. He's massive dude. Yeah, whoops. Yeah, I'd absolutely love to wrestle him. Over in Queensland, Seth Tyler's, Sam Cannon. Yeah, there's so many wrestlers. Internationally, so I've been to 2 or 3 Mike Quackenbush seminars now across different states, and so I've been on a show that he's been on. I think he was commentating on one show. He wrestled on another show. I've got to get in the ring and run some sequences with him during the seminars and those sorts of things. And we're both very, very similar in terms of how we approach wrestling and what we love about wrestling. And the last time we were on a show together in Melbourne for APW, we kind of both looked at each other and said, okay, well, yeah, we need to find a way to make this happen where we can actually share the ring for real. So that's on my bingo card for sure, if I can find a way for that to happen. But he's not in Australia very often, and I'm yet to make my international debut. So that's something that definitely is on my list and on my bingo card. Hopefully for 2026, as I want to try and get out there and bet on myself a little bit more and try and wrestle in a few different countries other than just Australia.
Awesome. Before we go, is there anywhere my fans could pick up any merch or like follow you on social media or both?
Yeah, I always forget what my handle is. So on Instagram, you can find me. That's probably where I'm most active. I got rid of Twitter or X a long time ago, just because I think it's a horrible
Same.
place. So you can look up either Gavin McGavin or Real Wrestling AUS. That's my handle on Instagram. There's also on Facebook. I'm Gavin McGavin there as well. I'm just about to announce some new merch that's coming out. There's going to be some pre-orders as well.
Cool.
I think that's pretty much it. I think that's the only places I'm super active. I do have a YouTube channel, but I haven't put much up there in a while. I think it got a bit of a workout during COVID.
We're on the YouTube world right now. So if you want to promote your channel, what is
exactly? My channel, that's a good question. I think it's rename it. It might even just be hang on. Let me see if I can find my own channel.
If you can't remember it, I can put it in the bio. You can send me the link.
It's at GMG163.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, it's just by the name Gavin McGavin. There's some little Easter egg, like old matches up there from my old days as the shoot fighter, and there's a series of I think 10 episodes I did talking about the history of the Coastal Championship during COVID. There was not a lot of creative outlet, so I actually one of the episodes is based in spite. Basically, I remember someone pointed out some YouTube channel had done a top 10 ugliest wrestling belt designs of all time, and in the honorable mention, they flashed up a picture of our Coastal title, and it pissed me off because it's a beautiful belt. So based on that, I threw out what my plan was for the next episode, and I just made an episode that went through every single element of the belt on why it's important, why it's beautiful, and why those guys would pretty much shut the fuck up. So, there's some stuff on there.
Awesome. I'm so happy to have you on, to add you on my awesome wall of fame of my Australian wrestling friends, and I'm so thankful. Please tell all your wrestling friends to come hang out on Dudes at Ringside. It's
absolutely
good. Yeah, tell everybody. Everybody needs to know, because Australia is an awesome place to watch your wrestling. And if you ever think about going to Australia, definitely take a trip. I've never been there before, but I heard some great things, and the wrestling scene sounds like it's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. It's killing it at the moment. It absolutely is. And you just need to look at the international level. So the people all those amazing Australians who are making a full-time living out of this right now, they started here. Delta, who's in NXT now, she was on an EPW Super Show when she got seen and got signed and scouted. I've wrestled against Grayson Waller in Sydney. I've wrestled against Bronson Reed here in Perth. Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols, TMDK, who were New Japan tag champs and Noah tag champs. Rhea Ripley, she's from Australia. Tony Storm is from Australia. Oh, God, I feel like I'm forgetting people, but there are so many. And they didn't go off to America, train how to become wrestlers and stay in America. They started here, and the next ones coming through are here as well. We've got companies like Slam over in our nation's capital, Canberra, that they had an event last year with 2,500 people, which is just insane. And we had an event in October where we had 1,000 people through the door. There is the quality of wrestling in Australia is crazy for how small a population. We're running about 25 million people in this massive country. 25
million? Jeez.
25 million. Yeah, we are tiny in terms of population, but we're about it takes 6 hours to fly from one side of the country to the other. It's massive. To get to the nearest capital city to me, I'd have to get in a car and drive nonstop for 26 hours. But there's only 25 million people here. And I think the biggest hurdle that Australian wrestling faces is that people don't know that it exists. It sounds like an oxymoron. Australian professional wrestling. Even me, I was a massive professional wrestling fan my entire life, but I thought it was just something that they did in America. It's just an American thing. But yeah, it's incredible. The scene is thriving. There are hundreds of wrestlers. There's amazing gear makers and videographers and promoters and
photographers.
It's definitely something worth checking out.
Awesome. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I am Joe Panther III. You can find me on Instagram under the Dudes at Ringside Podcast, under Facebook under the Real Dudes at Ringside. Don't forget to give my channel a subscribe. Give this episode a like. Send this episode to all your friends. Yes, I did the hands. Woo! Don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'm Joe Panther the Third.
I'm Gavin McGavin.
And we will catch you in the next one.